heads up. But
we're recording now. I just pressed play.
Sweet. Just wanted to make sure. So,
My bad.
and Devin, what the hell happened to your hair? Just kidding. Anyways, there it is. Okay, you looked bald in the way the light was.
I am bald. It's literally happening right before your eyes.
Oh, I'm receding too. Don't worry. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of shit. But I'm excited.
But thanks for pointing that out for me, by the way.
Oh yeah, no problem, brother. No problem. But I'm excited to talk to you guys tonight. This is something that's been near and dear to my heart for a really long time, and it's tonight we're going to talk about beating negative self-talk, and we're going to talk about things that we fail at along the way to wherever we're trying to go to. So I pulled my notes here, but how many of you guys have ever pushed really, really, can you guys hear me, by the way? Thumbs up if you can hear me. How many of you guys have ever pushed insanely hard for a goal and you've come up really, really short? Anyone ever done that? Guilty? Yeah, so I'm going to give you a little bit of a backstory on our team. Our team pushed really, really hard for elite 2 times in a row, and we missed it both times. And I remember saying at the beginning of 2015, I tell the story every time I do this talk because it's so important for you guys to hear it. I remember saying at the beginning of 2015, this is our year, right? And I thought if we'd hit elite, I'd be happy, it'd be good to go. And I set that goal along with Colleen, my success partner, right? We did everything together just like Phil talked about. And we pushed and we did everything we possibly could to get there. And I remember December 31st, 2015 came around and we had the rank, but we came up 4 points short of our goal. 4 elite points short of our goal. And I was really proud of my team that we were a premier team that year, but we were not elite. I was really proud, but I was also proud I could represent them on stage at Summit. But there was that little voice in the back of my head that was like, dude, you could have been more. Like, you should have been more. And you failed as a leader. And you don't deserve elite. And all these things went through my head. And shit, guys, like it hurt, right? It emotionally hurt, like to feel like you could have done something, but you didn't do it. And it was like a weird mix of proud and devastated at the same time, right? And that voice in my head beat me down. And like what happened at that same time was I saw all my friends, Colleen, my friend Dana, all these people, and even people that I had personally mentored. Like I'd see them go and I'd see them hit elite. And my self-confidence just kind of went to the shitter, right? And I remember watching them all walking across stage next year at Summit, and there goes that same voice to myself, like, why aren't I as good of a leader as them? Or just like, why aren't I good enough? And then the next year, 2016 came around, last year, and we went after it again. And I claimed it at the beginning of the year, was really excited about it, and we went for it, and we fought with everything we possibly could at the beginning of the year. And I was consistent in Success Club 10 every single month. And I fought for it just like my team did. We all fought for it the entire time. And December 31st, 2016 came around, and we woke up a 2-star diamond team with 90 elite points. So we went backwards. My business went down in 2016. So not only have we missed the rank, but we missed the points too. And there goes Colleen. There goes Dana. There goes all these other coaches hitting elite again. And there goes that same voice in my mind going, dude, you could have been more. You should have been more. Like, you failed as a leader. Same thing. Only this time, I had learned and I had grown and I'd matured because I did so much personal growth towards the end of that year that I learned how to beat that negative voice. And so the point I'm trying to make is when we shoot really hard for big goals and we come up short, and we see all these other people that are crushing these big goals right next to us, it's so hard not to compare. How many of you guys have ever compared to other coaches in this business and gone like, why aren't I doing what they can do, right? And you've fought for a goal really hard, you come up short, you feel worthless or pissed off or hopeless or bummed out. And I guess another question is, how many of you guys have ever had a rock star coach sign up and then they work really, really hard and then they do nothing, right? They sign up and then they do nothing. Or how many of you guys have ever been working really hard at something and someone new joins the business? They're really excited. What are you doing? She's bringing the dog out here.
Bringing the dog out.
Just to hang out?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. The dog's out here. And so everyone says hi, Denise, by the way.
So we can protect you.
Oh, Ollie's going to protect me? Okay, Ollie's going to protect. Okay, hey buds. Okay, sorry. So how many of you guys have ever been in a position where someone new starts in this business after you, and they crush it way faster than you ever did? And you're just going, what the fuck? this isn't fair, right? What's going on? Or how many of you guys have ever been part of a push group, like a push to diamond group or a push to 2-star group or a push to elite group, and you're working incredibly hard in that group, doing everything you can, and it just feels like you're not good enough or you must be missing something, right? Because all these other people are crushing it. And I have been in that situation too. And let me tell you guys something, it all leads to comparison, and every single bit of that gets you off course. And it all takes the fun out of what we do as coaches, right? It hurts. Am I right? Like that shit emotionally hurts. Like to feel like you're in second place and to feel like you're more talented and you're not seeing the results. And it hurts to push for elite and see all your friends hitting it and coming up short. That little voice in the back of your head goes, dude, you were never good enough. I've felt that more often than I can begin to express on this call. And it hurts. But the reality is, what I'm trying to get to is that it doesn't matter if it hurts, because pain in your life is guaranteed, but suffering from that pain is your choice. I'll repeat that. Pain in your life is guaranteed, but suffering from that pain is completely up to you. It's your choice. And you can look at it in one of two ways. You can say they were better. You can say that you weren't good enough. You can say you don't deserve this, or you can celebrate their success and make it mean that it's possible for you too. You can say, okay, that means that anyone can clearly do this. But sitting here and comparing yourself to them is a thief of joy, and I guarantee you that it leads to burnout, because all you're going to do is stare at them doing all this shit that you're supposed to be doing, and you're not going to be doing this stuff that you're supposed to do because you're spending your time thinking about them, right? And you're going to feel you're putting all this time into coaching, but really you're not putting any time into coaching. You're just staring at your neighbor, right? And it's not fun. And that's what leads to burnout, right? And all those people that want to follow you, that could have been inspired by you, that would have connected with you, with your energy, not that other coach, with you, those people aren't going to feel your energy. They're going to be able to tell that your heart isn't fully in this. And because of that, they're not going to reach out or feel comfortable when you invite them. And so that means that we literally control the response that we get from people. If we're comparing ourselves to others, if we're focusing on others, it means that we're intentionally saying, I'm going to tone down my energy because I believe I'm not good enough. And it's okay if no one's inspired by me. That's what comparing does. Write this one down. Comparing is an act of violence on yourself that you literally chose. It's an act of violence on yourself. So those people that you're watching, those people you're comparing to, they have a completely different market. They have a completely different past. They're not you. They're not you at all. So quit focusing on them and run your own race, right? Like, you have to focus on your vision and where you're going. If I were to spend my time staring at Colleen, who started after me but far surpassed me in this business, would I be anywhere near my goals if I had spent my entire time watching her? Absolutely not, right? How fucking motivated do you think I'd be? I'd be dogging it the entire time, but I'm not looking at Colleen, right? I'm not looking at her. I'm not looking at Jamie Fitzpatrick. I'm not looking at Lindsay Matway, right? I am looking at retiring her from her job. That's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at creating a life of freedom for my family that most people never get to have, right? So you need to look at changing someone's life within your realm, not anyone else's. Comparison will take the fun out of this. It doesn't allow you to focus on your goals. So, go Janice, I love it. So it doesn't allow you to focus on your goals. What it does is, imagine you're going down a freeway at 80 miles an hour, right? And you're going towards that finish line, whatever it may be. And when you're going 80 miles an hour, if you're comparing to other people, that means you're staring at the car next to you when you're going 80 miles an hour the entire time. And what happens when you do that? You crash and you burn. You die, right? Like, focus on your road. Because if you don't, you crash and burn. And don't ever take your eyes off it. Focus on where you're going. So that helps with comparison. But there are still times when we hit these mental slumps, right? Like times where we don't control our mindset, or times where we feel weak or hopeless, or times when we know. How many guys like have ever had this feeling where you know exactly what to do, but you just don't give a shit in that moment, right? Like, you see your computer staring at you from across the room, and you know that you need to invite to the business. You know that you need to post on social media. You know you need to do all that stuff. But in that moment, it's like pulling teeth to get off the couch and go do it. And you care so much that you're not, and you know you're going to regret it if you don't, but you also don't give a shit at the same time. You guys know what I'm talking about, where it's so much easier to watch Game of Thrones than it is to do this, right? Like, that feeling that it feels like you're trying to force a fire to start in the middle of a hurricane, right? Like, it just seems impossible, and you're pushing and you're pushing and you're pushing, but no matter how hard you push, it just feels like there's no energy and no drive to give, right? I've been in that place. I've seen that place. It's dark and it's terrifying. And that's where stuff like this, like Ali, come here, where stuff like this, like these calls comes into play, right? That's why it's so incredibly crucial to be at Summit, to be in these situations that help you grow. Because if you learn to think correctly when you're down, and yes, that is a skill. When you learn to, if you learn to think correctly when you're down, it's so much shorter of a period of time before you get back up and you're fighting again, right? Before you get back up and you're doing this. Hang on one sec, guys. My internet connection is shitty with the door closed. One sec. I need to keep this open because the internet connection's bad. Sorry. But if you learn to think correctly when you're down, it's going to be so much shorter of a period of, for me. Is mine coming through? Is everything okay? Cool. So anyways, you're talking to someone that was the king of comparison for a really long time, right? And I thought I deserved all this success, right? I knew a trainer, right? Someone that created a couple of boxes. And I thought that meant that I deserved all this. An ego-driven, selfish, negative self-talk. And I compared all the time. And I always thought to myself, I'm not good enough. I'm not as good of a leader as them, all the time. And those thoughts ran through my head like this uncontrollable river that I couldn't stop. And that happened all the time, almost weekly, guys, multiple times a week. And like, you know, that feeling where you're doing really, really well and you go from point A to point B and you're crushing it. And then you go from point B to point C. And then right before you're about to hit point C, there's this big, massive wall of self-sabotage that takes over and sends you right back to point A, right? Like you're about to hit diamond, but then shit happens in your life and it sends you right back. You guys know what I'm talking about? Like right before you're about to break through. I had to learn how to adjust my thinking so I could break through C and finally get to D, right? I had to learn how to adjust my thinking when I was in those slumps so I could get out of those slumps faster. I worked, at the end of 2016, I worked so hard on my mindset. I worked more on my mindset than I did on my business. And what I started to notice is those periods of stress and anxiety and depression and overwhelm that I would face multiple times a week where I'd be dogging it on the couch, it would start to happen once a week. Then it was once every 2 weeks. Then it was once a month. Then it was once every 6 months. And now it's very rare that it ever happens, right? And when it does happen, I know how to course correct it and change my thinking. Those are the cobwebs of your business that you're going to have to get through if you ever want this to work, if you ever want your why to come true, right? If you want that to come to fruition, you have to get through this shit, right? So how you think when you're down determines how long it's going to be before you get back up. People ask me all the time, like, dude, you seem so happy. Like, how are you so happy all the time? And I'm not perfect at this. There are times where I still hit those slumps. They come every once in a while, but I've trained and figuratively rewired my mind to respond to situations differently, right? So let me tell you about some of the things that I did to train my mind in that way. So you can rewire yours to get to where you want to be. So every morning I do an exercise called priming, and I'm going to type it into the chat box right now what the website is. One sec. /momentum. Okay. I go to this site every morning, and I can send it to you after the call if you want me to, but I go to that site every morning, and it's tonyrobbins.com/momentum. And I do an exercise called priming. It's a 14-minute audio file at the bottom of the screen every single day. It's 15 minutes. And if you don't have 15 minutes, you don't have a life. And what that does is it helps me focus on what I'm grateful for. Like truly grateful, not bullshit grateful, real gratitude. If you guys want to ever cure comparison or cure pain or cure depression or cure anxiety, get really grateful. It is impossible to feel pain if you are truly grateful. And I'm going to do an exercise with you to prove that right now. I want you to close your eyes. Everyone on here, close your eyes. What are you laughing at? Close your eyes. And I want you to remember the worst memory of your life. Just remember the worst memory of your life right now. Close your eyes and remember the worst memory of your entire life. And put yourself in that situation right now. Put yourself in that moment. Thanks, brother. I appreciate it. Put yourself in that moment of the worst memory of your life. And just feel how shitty it felt in that situation. And keep your eyes closed. Keep your eyes closed. Feel that really shitty emotion that you felt in the worst memory of your entire life. And keep your eyes closed and shake your body out a little bit. And now I want you to remember, with your eyes closed, I want you to remember one of the best memories of your entire life. Keep imagining it. With your eyes closed, keep imagining it. And I want you to feel what it felt like in that exact moment. Was it when you got engaged? Was it when you got married? What was it for you? Keep your eyes closed and feel it. I want you to actually breathe the same way you did in that exact moment right now. Breathe like you did then. Feel what you felt then right now, like you're there, like it's happening in front of you right now. And just be so deeply grateful that happened for you. Just feel it and appreciate it for a second. And it might be emotional, but just let it come to you. Feel the deep feelings of gratitude. And open your eyes. When you were thinking about that moment, that memory, that feeling of gratitude, were you thinking about the worst memory of your life? You didn't even remember it. It didn't even cross your fucking mind, right? It is impossible to feel pain when you're grateful. Impossible. Good, man. Like, let it out. Like, that's the type of shit that you do every day when you do this priming exercise. It forces you to go into real gratitude, not the bullshit, I'm grateful for this roof over my head and grateful for like real gratitude. And if you go there, all that depression, anxiety goes away. It's impossible to feel pain if you're grateful. Stress melts away when you're grateful. Any moment in your life where you just feel shitty, just take a second and go back to that memory you just had and breathe the same way you did then. It'll take it all away. And so I can respect if you're in those states of mind where you're already in the dumps, right? And you kind of feel crappy, right? You kind of feel like shit when you're in the dumps like that. And it's hard to get out of that situation, right? It's hard to get out of that. And it's hard to feel grateful, but this exercise forces you to go there. And so like imagine your day and you wake up and you're running late for work and your spouse is already out the door. They didn't give you a kiss goodbye and you didn't get the kids to school on time and whatever the hell else is going on, you're in traffic late to your job or you miss a showing or whatever it is, and you get there and things go all wrong and your boss makes you stay later at your job and things just go south that day and you get an accident on the way home and all these things that go wrong that day, you get home and your kids are already in bed and you just have a shitty day. Wouldn't you guys agree like all that stuff is like really shitty? Like that's a bad day. Most people would agree that is a horrible day. But would your entire day change if the very first thing you focused on every morning before your feet hit the floor was how everything's going to be okay because you have that memory to be grateful for? You have the love of your life laying next to you. You have this dog that makes you laugh and smile all the time. You have these things in your life that we take for granted sometimes. Would your entire day change even if those things happened? Wouldn't it still be a damn good day? It would still be amazing, right? Like, think about how lucky we are to live in this country. And if we're in the bottom 1% of this country, we're in the top 1% of the world. Like, really think about that. The top 1% of the world? Like, if we're in the bottom 1% of this country, like, take a second and just appreciate that. Like, how fucking lucky are we that we have running water? Or to be married to whoever we're married to, right? Like, think about that. How would your day go differently if you focus on true gratitude every single day? And guys, like what's going to happen is your brain's going to rewire itself. Your view of life literally determines your future, right? So every single day, condition your mind to be focused on being grateful and slowly the anxiety, the depression, the overwhelm, that fear, it's going to start to go away and you're not going to notice it as much. Right? And you're going to become excited about every single day. You might be someone who seems anxious all the time. And you might think this is bullshit. Or you might be someone that claims they're a depressed person. And that's fine. I respect you if you feel that. But what I'm saying is, why the hell are you tolerating living that way anymore? Like, if there is even a chance that this gratitude stuff works, wouldn't it be worth practicing every single day? Right? Like, wouldn't that be worth it? Even if there's the slightest chance in the world. Right? Guys, if you're stressed out in your life in any way, if you're stressed out, you need to understand that all stress is a code word for fear. That's what stress is. It's a code word for fear. It's the achiever's word for fear. It comes from associating the meaning that something's more important than it really is. Think about overwhelm. Overwhelm is just fear. That's all it is. That is overwhelm. It literally just means you haven't picked a priority. It means that everything is a priority instead of just one thing. And then, thanks, brother. I appreciate that. Like seriously, like if you're overwhelmed in your life, like it just means you haven't picked your top priority. Pick your top priority and it gets rid of overwhelm instantly. If you're trying to be perfect, like that is fear. That's fear of missing out on something, or fear of you not being good enough, or fear of not being loved. That's what perfection is. And here's the thing. Perfection is the lowest possible standard that you can possibly have for your life. It is lower than doing the minimum because it's impossible. So think about that. If perfection is the lowest possible standard you could have for your life, why settle for it? Train your mind. Yes, it is. Totally agree. Philma, yeah, that's where it came from. Like, train your mind like you train your body. Condition your mind to focus on being this way. And I'm the guy that had a victim complex most of his life, right? I grew up not feeling like I had a voice. And I am not the same person I was a couple of years ago, right? I figuratively rewired the way that I think. And now it's natural. My default setting is to be happy. It didn't used to be that way. And I don't give a shit how much serotonin or dopamine you don't have in your brain. The quality of your life is always in direct proportion to the quality of your emotions on a second-to-second basis. Because guys, you proved to yourself a second ago that you can switch from depressed to grateful in a matter of seconds. You just proved that to yourself, which means you control your emotions 100% of the time. So the quality of your life is always in direct proportion to the quality of your emotions, and burpee jumps, on a second-to-second basis, right? So in any moment in time, you can be upset about anything. There's always something to bitch about because what's wrong is always going to be available to you. What's wrong is always there. You can always find something to complain about, but so is what's right, guys. So is what's right. And you can push against those problems instead of giving into them. Guys, everyone has problems. The only people that don't have problems are in cemeteries. They're dead. If you don't have problems, you don't have a life. Problems, this is a quote that I love. Problems are literally just the resistance that you push against to sculpt the character of who you are. That is a problem. So embrace a problem and understand it's a message for you, not a bad thing. It's a good thing. And when you do that, you can take the primary emotions of life and make them the ones you actually want because you literally control it. You literally control it. And when you view your life as amazing every single day, it doesn't just affect you, it affects everyone around you and people give it back to you, right? Like if I didn't view my life as amazing, I couldn't deliver this message to you. And then your lives couldn't have been impacted. Imagine what you do on your live videos or the way that you invite with you viewing your life as amazing. Imagine how much that changes and how much it affects the energy of other people. So we talked comparing, we talked about gratitude and rewiring your mind, and that's amazing. And remember, this is a process. So let's say that you started laser focusing on what you want and you're grateful for things every day. There's still part of your mind that's going to play tricks on you. And that happens when you become so attached to something happening, so attached to a goal, to diamond coming true, to emerald coming true, to successful coming true, to 2-star coming true, to retiring your job, to earning 6 figures, to so attached to that coming true that it literally pushes away what you want. So I found myself working so hard for these goals. And no matter how hard I pushed, like I would push and push and push, and it just felt like they were further and further and further away. You ever feel that way? Like the harder you push for something, it just feels like it's escaping you, barely getting away from you. You know what I'm talking about? Like I'd hit success of 10, 20, 30, but it felt like it was happening. So how many of you guys have ever had the mindset of this absolutely must happen, and if it doesn't, I'm totally fucked? Or like, I need this to work. Or if this doesn't happen, I'm a bad coach, or I'm a bad leader, or I'm a bad person. And we enter this mindset of must, like absolute must. And when we feel that way, and we come up short on a goal, which by the way, in big dreamers' lives, you come up short on goals sometimes. It happens, right? Like, but if you think that way, and you come up short on a goal, how do you feel when you miss it? How do you feel this is an absolute must and your happiness is completely dependent on that goal coming true? How do you feel when you miss it? You feel really shitty, don't you? Right, yeah. You feel really shitty. You feel like your self-worth took a hit. And let me guess, A to B, B to C, self-sabotage, right back to A, right? That's what I used to do. The reason is because you're skipping the entire first part of success and happiness. You're refusing to accept what's already happened. You're refusing acceptance. And when you accept things from the past, I'll teach you how to do this in a second, you'll feel so much more free. So take out a sheet of paper, and I want you to draw 2 big circles next to each other. 2 big circles next to each other. And above the left circle, I want you to label it my story about what happened. My story about what happened above the left circle. And above the right circle, I want you to label it the fact. So left circle is my story about what happened, and the right circle is the fact. So let's talk about the idea of, would you guys agree that Diamond or Success Club is considered a harder goal to go for in your organization? Diamond or Success Club? Like, either one. We can do this with either one. I'm just asking so it's more relevant for you guys. Diamond or Success Club, would you guys say? Diamond. Okay, cool. So let's say Diamond is like the thing that's really hard to achieve here. So let me get refocused. So the left side of the circle is my story about what happened. The right side of the circle is the fact, okay? So let's talk about the idea of Diamond. How many of you guys have ever pushed so hard for Diamond, and when you miss it, or when you come up short on that goal, or when you have that mindset of, if this doesn't happen, I'm a bad leader or a bad coach, you have some of the things I'm going to share next come up in your head. And I want you guys to write down any other thing that you can feel, any other thing that you normally feel in those situations. I want you to write it in the left circle when you feel it. So I'm going to rapid fire through them. Let me pull up my notes here. But write these down as I say them. In the left circle under my story about what happened, or anything else that crosses your mind when you missed that goal, when you're so attached to it that your happiness is totally dependent on it. So I didn't have time. I don't know if I can do it. I need this to work, and if it doesn't, I'm totally screwed. Or I always face the situation where people just say no when I need them the most. Or every time I try, it doesn't work. Or I don't know if I can do it, but I need to do it, but I don't know if I can do it, but I need to do it. Or why are they able to do it and I'm not? Or why am I not a good enough coach to hit Diamond? Write down any other stories that play in your head when you miss that goal. Right now in your left circle under my story about what happened. Those, write any of those down. Then any other ones that you can think of that you say to yourself when that is the way that you live. I'll give you like 10, 15 seconds before I go on. Keep writing them down. Okay. So all those things I listed off, have you experienced some of those feelings in the past? Yeah? Have you said those stories to yourself before in the past? Yeah? And when you look at that left circle, and those are the things that play in your head, isn't it incredibly overwhelming and intense and stressful to solve all that shit? Like, how do you even begin to solve all that? Like, it's impossible, right? Like, look at that circle and tell me the solution to do it, right? Like, there is none. It makes you go into shutdown mode. A to B, B to C, self-sabotage, back to A, right? You self-sabotage because of the stories that are playing in your mind about why you didn't get to a goal, why you're not good enough to get to a goal. And it's because you've been making up these stories in your head about what happened, but what's the actual only thing that happened here, right? Like, what's the only fact? In the right circle, the only fact, the only thing that's true is I didn't hit Diamond. That's it. That is the only fact of the entire situation. I didn't hit Diamond. And when you look at those two circles, all these things that cross your mind versus I didn't hit Diamond, which one do you know how to solve instantly? Snap of a finger. Diamond, right? Cool. Invite more people. Solve your problem. You're done. Like, that's it. That's literally the only issue. That's literally the only thing. You know the solution to it already, right? So all this stress of getting to Diamond could have been completely avoided if you just accepted the fact of the situation. Acceptance of the situation, right? Like, I just didn't hit Diamond. I'm not a shitty coach. I'm not a bad leader. I just didn't hit Diamond. What happened, happened, guys. What didn't happen, didn't happen. Is that part clear so far before I move on? Yeah? That part's clear so far? just focus on the fact and it solves all the stress, right? So now I want you to flip that page over and draw two more circles, two more big circles. And above the left circle, I want you to label it attachment. And above the right circle, I want you to label it commitment. Attachment above the left, commitment above the right. And when you're in this state of this absolutely must happen and my happiness is completely dependent on it, and you're in Storyville with all the I'm a bad leader if I don't do this, and you miss a goal and I feel like shit. When you're in that state of mind, what emotions do you feel on a regular basis? Like pretty crappy emotions, right? Like you feel pretty bad all the time, right? About your business, about the way that you lead. It's negative. So when you're in that state of mind, yeah, like when you're in that state of mind, would you agree? And I want you to write all these emotions, as many as you can get, in the left circle. When you're living in your story and your happiness is dependent upon a goal to come true, and you play all these stories in your head and it's an absolute must, would you agree that you feel stress, anxiety, guilt, fear, sadness, shame, struggle, unhappy, trapped, faithless, like a victim, not good enough, passionless, forcing, mad, angry, depressed, scarcity, doubtful, lazy, questioning, ungrateful, and comparison? Would you guys agree that those are the emotions that you operationally feel when you're living in that state of mind? Wouldn't you guys agree that's how you feel regularly? Yes? So list out any other emotions in that circle right now under attachment. Any other emotions that you feel regularly under attachment right now? Couple seconds here.
Baby, can you open the front door, please? I'd write that
Any
down.
other
If I could put my hand.
any other emotions under attachment you feel? So my question for you is, what if you let it go? Right? Like, what if you just chill out and you choose that your happiness is not dependent on a goal, but your happiness would rather lead to a goal? Think about that for a second. What if your happiness wasn't dependent on a goal, but rather your happiness led to a goal? What if you become committed to achieving a goal, but not having your entire self-worth? What if you're committed to hitting diamond? What if you were committed to Success Club? What if you were committed to Elite? And what if every single day you chose to be happy and you used your happiness to uplift your life, and instead of making it where you're only happy when you hit a goal, you do it because you love the process of who you're becoming every single day, right? You focus on the things that you're going to be able to accomplish, how you're going to be able to grow, the person you're going to be able to become, the things you're going to be able to give, how you're going to be able to contribute. You up instead of just the goal. Like, what type of emotions would you feel if you were committed to a goal instead of attached? What emotions would you feel if you were committed to a goal instead of attached? I'm going to rapid fire through them, but wouldn't you agree if you were focused on that, the process, the person you are becoming, and having your happiness lead to a goal instead of it being dependent on a goal? Wouldn't you agree that you would feel passion, energy, enthusiasm, happiness, health, vitality, growth, excitement, abundance, belief? You'd smile again, right? Freedom, forgiveness, capability, trust, greatness, resourcefulness, and pumped up. Like, those are the ones that I wrote down. Wouldn't you guys agree that that's what you would feel on a regular basis if you were committed to a goal and not attached? If you focus on the fact of the situation and the person you are becoming instead of the stories in your head and your happiness being dependent on it, right? Like, which of those two circles make it easier? Yeah, it's a lot easier, right? Or a lot better. Like, look at those two circles right now. The emotions you wrote down in each of those two circles under attachment and commitment. Which of those two circles is it easier to invite from? Commitment. Which of those two circles to inspire a teammate from? When you're not dependent on them advancing, but rather you just want to help them grow, right? Like, commitment. Think about it. Guys, when you're in a state of attachment, it means a result isn't present yet, and you're completely dependent upon that result in order for you to be happy. But when you're in commitment, results, happiness. You literally flipped everything on its head. Yeah, so when you're in attachment, a result isn't present yet, and you're dependent upon that result to be happy. But when you're in commitment, you get a result every single day because your happiness drives toward results instead of results being the only thing that allows your happiness. Does that make sense? Right? This is how I grew in 2016. This type of stuff. And remember that feeling, guys, of like trying so hard and feeling like you're forcing yourself to do this and but you just don't have the energy or the drive or the desire to do it. Like that feeling of staring at your computer and knowing what you have to do, but you just don't feel like it in that second. Game of Thrones all of a sudden becomes more important. A to B, B to C, back to A, right? That feeling goes away instantly. And you become on fire every single second of every day. Guys, when you are in attachment, you are constricting energy from other people. You're sucking the life out of them. And I bet you know it if you're doing it. I bet you know deep down if you're that person that is so attached to what someone does that you literally suck the life out of them because the result of what they do is the only thing that makes you happy. But when you're in commitment and your happiness is driving your results, you're generating energy because you're making other people feel amazing every single day. And when other people feel amazing every single day, guess what they want to do? They want to hit big goals. They want to go work with you. They want to partner with you. They want to run with you. When you're in attachment, guys, your happiness is at the effect of life. Meaning life happens and that determines if or not you're happy. If not, you're happy. But when you're in commitment, your happiness causes life. And that's a whole new way to live, guys. A whole new way to live. Be committed to your goals, not attached. And all of a sudden, guys, it's a lot more fun to set goals. It's a lot more fun to be a coach. It's a lot easier to work this business because every single day, you love the process of doing it and who you're becoming rather than just the results. So we have to get rid of that voice. Does that make sense before I move on to the next section? Make sense? Okay. So we got to get rid of that voice. And I know with everyone, including me, there are negative beliefs that we have about ourselves. Raise your hand if you got a negative belief about yourself. I do. Everyone does. And if you don't lie, if you're not saying the truth about that, you lie about other shit too, right? Like there are negative beliefs that we have about ourselves. And if you're like me, then no matter how hard you try to tell yourself that things are great, there's this little itty bitty voice back here, right? This little guy back here that laughs at you and says, yeah, fucking right, dude. You're a worthless piece of shit, right? Like he's back here. Yeah, flick him off. Right? He's back here, right? There's that little guy that just laughs at you when you set goals. Like raise your hand or type in the chat box if you've ever had thoughts like this. Why don't I have enough money? Has anyone ever said that in their life? Why don't I have enough money at any point in your life? Or why am I so lonely? Or why don't people like me? Or why does no one listen to my message? Or how come I always fuck it up? Or why am I so fat? Has anyone ever said that? Or why am I so unhealthy? Or why is it so hard to lose weight? Or why am I so broke? Or why do I never catch a break? Who said that? Or why is it so much easier for other people? Anyone ever said that? Why is it so much easier for other people? Why can't I do anything right? Why am I so unhappy? How many of you guys have ever said that to yourself? How many of you guys are dicks to yourself? Seriously, that is called being a dick to yourself. And how many of you guys will listen to personal growth and development books, and you read them, you listen to the audio, and no matter how much amazing shit you fill your mind with, there's still that little guy, right? A little voice that says, yeah, fucking right? A little guy back here. No matter how much someone tells you can have success in this business, there's that little voice that says, no, you can't. You know what I'm talking about? You know that little voice. You can barely hear him, but he's there, right? One thing I've learned about my life, guys, is that it's a direct reflection of my thoughts, right? And when you set goals, you're trying to create a new reality as opposed to your current reality, right? That's what a goal is, trying to create a new reality as opposed to a current reality. But there's a gap between those two places. And that gap is your belief. And until you actually believe you can do something with all that you are, it's going to be really hard to create that new reality, right? Like, the reason is because most of us don't actually believe that we can achieve the goals that we set. Most of us don't actually believe we can get there. That's just the truth, right? I don't have this internal dying belief that I can hit elite. I don't, right? But I learned how to control my mind so that I can lead towards believing that I can, right? And no matter how many times we set those goals, it doesn't change the fact there's that little voice in your mind that doesn't believe it's possible. Guys, when you ask yourself a question, your brain automatically searches for the answer. Those questions I just went through, why am I so happy? Why am I so fat? Why is it so hard to lose weight? Why am I so broke? All those things, right? Those are questions you're asking yourself. Those negative beliefs are questions you are asking yourself, right? So you automatically search for an answer when you focus on that. So close your eyes for a second. Actually do this. Actually close your eyes for a second and say in your mind, why is it so hard to hit diamond? Say that to yourself. Or why is it so hard to hit 2-star if that's your next goal? Say that to yourself. Why is it so hard to hit diamond? Why is it so hard to hit 2-star? And open your eyes. But what did you do? You actually looked for why it's so hard to do it, right? You actually found the reasons why it's tough to hit 2-star and diamond, right? How many of you guys have ever said, to yourself, like, I just don't want to be emerald anymore, or I don't want to be diamond anymore, or I don't want to only hit success level 5 anymore, or I don't want to be fat anymore? Do you guys see that is literally asking for what you don't want? Like, you're not focused, you're focused on not hitting it, not staying emerald. You're not focused on diamonds. You're focused on not missing Success Club. You're not focused on Success Club. Yeah, like, it's not focused on not hitting elite or it's not focused on not being an elite team anymore, and you want to change that. You switch to, I want to hit elite. Guys, even if your goal is, I don't want to be broke anymore, if that's your goal, like, that is literally asking yourself to stay broke because you're focusing on what you don't want, being broke. But instead you say, I really want to have wealth and abundance in my life. That is a totally different way to go about your life, right? So when you focus on a goal, your mind automatically looks for the answer. And just like Google, when you ask yourself a negative question, it spits all the answers out on why you are so shitty, right? It says all those things. So what if you, like, when you said, like, why is it so hard to hit diamond? What happened? Your brain looked for a reason why you were so shitty, right? That's what it did. It looked for all the reasons why it's so hard to do it. What if you reversed it, right? Instead of telling yourself that you're a diamond coach, which you know that little voice is going to laugh at you, and instead of trying to tell yourself that you're amazing, knowing that little voice is going to laugh at you too, even though you are amazing, what if you just ask yourself a different question that leads to a better life, right? Like, what if you ask yourself a positive question instead of a negative question? Hang on, I got to readjust my dog's leash. Like, so think about it like this. Like, what if instead of asking why is it so hard to hit diamond, you ask, why is it so easy to hit diamond, right? And even if, like, close your eyes and actually do that for a second. Ask yourself right now, why is it so easy to hit diamond? Oh, I just got to sign 8 people. That's what crosses your mind. Just like Google, it spits out the reasons why it's so easy instead of why it's so hard. And you don't have to have the solve for your question, but if you live in a question, live in an empowering question instead of a shitty question, you're going to start to piece together the answers that will lead to a better life, right? So ask your mind a different question. Your brain is looking for what you're asking it 100% of the time, whether it's phrasing the positive or the negative, and whatever you focus on tends to become reality, right? Like, so yeah, I totally, like, everyone should. Like, how many of you guys have ever had a goal in your life where you've set that goal and you became so intent on hitting it that it just happened? You just made it happen. Maybe it was the first time you went diamond, or maybe it was closing a deal, Evan, or maybe it was whatever it, or Devin, whatever it is, right? Like, whatever it is, your goals that you have, like, whenever you set a goal in your past and you just made a decision to go for it and you just found a way to make it happen, that's because you were focusing on what you wanted finally. Think about it. Think back to that situation that you crushed a goal. It was because you were focusing on what you wanted. If it was to hit diamond, you were finally focusing on you wanting to hit diamond. And not, I don't want to stay emerald, right? So ask yourself a different question. Ask and you shall receive, right? That's the old saying. Well, lately, we've been asking for shitty results. Like, think about it. Why is it so hard to lose weight? If that's what we're saying to ourselves, what does your brain do? It finds all the reasons why it's so hard to lose weight. That's what you focus on, so you never lose the weight, because all that's on your mind is not losing weight. Why is it so hard to hold diamond? Guess what your brain's doing? Finding all the reasons why it's so hard for you to be a diamond coach. And so you don't do it. A to B, B to C, self-sabotage, back to A, no matter how many opportunities come your way. Thanks, bro. I appreciate it, Devin. But guys, you're literally getting what you're asking for, because you're asking shitty questions. So when you do this, like, imagine if you filled your mind with this shit every day, right? Like, don't just change your thinking, change your questions, right? And ask yourself the right questions. So for your homework, for your life and your business, write down all the negative shit that you ask yourself after this call. Write down all of it. All the negative stuff you ask yourself. And I want you to flip it, right? Like, instead of why am I so broke, it's why am I so wealthy? Instead of why is my business not growing, it's why is my business booming? Instead of why am I stuck, it's why is it so easy to hit Success Club? If it's why is my marriage failing, it's why is my marriage filled with love and passion? Like, flip it on its head. Your brain is looking for the answers to what you ask it 100% of the time. So you might as well ask it smart questions that lead to a better life. So let me close, and let's be real. When you face hard times in your life and your business, you're going to be challenged in a really tough way. And you have 3 options, guys. 3 options. 1, you can quit. I have the cancellation form. Philman has it. Devin has it. You can quit. You can give up. You can eliminate yourself from this community of growth. You can just keep living life, and you can wake up, 6 months, a year from now, having this. Yes? Yours is for, okay, cool. Just want to make sure. So option 1 is you can quit, right? You can just keep living life the same way. Number 2 is you can stay in the same spot. You can find yourself afraid. You can find yourself comparing. You can wake up with the same struggles, just like I did for a couple of years straight. Wake up with the same fucking struggles every single day. Or option 3, you can grow. That's option 3. You can grow. You can take action, and you can run your own race. You can do something about your future. You can be truly grateful every day. You can be committed, not attached. And you can ask yourself the right questions that lead to a better life. Guys, that there's never going to be a right time to do that, right? There's never going to be a right time to change the course of your life. Something else, every time you try to do something better, resistance is going to show up in your life and test you and see, are you actually committed to this, or are you just full of shit like the last time? That's what's going to happen every time you go try to do something big. Every time you try to be bold on Facebook for the first time in a while, guess what's going to happen? It's going to be crickets. And it's going to be testing you. Are you in this? Or are you going to puss out like you did last time? Right? Because think about it like this. Something else is going to come up, and it's going to be hard. Something is going to try to get in the way. And that time that you could have spent doing this is going to pass anyways. Right? There's never going to be a right time to do it. So when is now a good time to stay bold? When, stop being a puss. I like it. When is now a good time to be bold? Guys, opportunity is knocking on your door. And I want, just like we talked about, I want you to fall in love with the process. I want you to love every single day. It starts up here, right? Your happiness drives life, not your happiness being dependent on life. This business is not convenient. It's adding something on so that you can take something off later. But there's something in your gut that says, I'm supposed to be here, right? There's something real about this. And you're going to get faced with those situations we talked about in this call, and you can either face them and grow your mindset, you can stay in the same spot, or you can quit. And I hope you face them, because I did. And this is the happiest I have ever been in my entire life, because I decided to face it. And you can have that feeling too. You just got to come back to this shit, right? This is easier to teach than it is to do. But try to remember this stuff, because that opportunity that's knocking on your door right now with the greatest business in the world, the greatest products in the world, is there for you. Right? You don't have to carry my schedule, but you do have to stand for something. You have to create a standard of excellence in some way for yourself, right? Give yourself more than the minimum here. Before I close up, something that needs to be said is every minute that you spend focusing on Beachbody but not building Beachbody, let me repeat that. Every moment you spend focusing on Beachbody but not building Beachbody is the same thing as you looking your spouse in the eye and saying they weren't worth your time. Think about that for a second. How frequently do you dick around and not build this when you should be building it? Spending that time away from your family is hurting them unless you're creating a better future for them. Think about that for a second. Give your future more than the minimum here. Give your family more than the minimum here. Make the time you spend on this actually worth it. Make this happen for yourself. You got to do the shit when no one's watching. Face your fears, and don't actually face your fears. Kick them in the throat. Right? Because you and your family deserve this. I love this line. I forgot where I heard it, but draw a line in the sand. That's the line. Draw a line in the sand. Guys, just because you signed up as a coach does not mean you started being a coach. I hope you really take that home. Just because you signed up does not mean you actually started. Make today the start date to change your future. All we do is invite, expand our network, share on social media, run challenge groups, invite people to pay this forward. Your current job is way harder than that, right? And when you do that every single day, and you focus on everything we talked about in this call, gratitude, not comparing anymore, focusing on the right mindset, and asking yourself the right questions, being committed, not attached. Instead of doing what most people do, which is shrink their dreams down to the size of their income, you guys do the opposite, and you build your income to the size of your dreams. And you'll be the happiest you have ever been in your entire life, because not only does your life change, but you change the life of everyone around you, and then they pay it forward. So Filma, I will turn it back to you, my friend. I hope this was valuable in some way, and I'm happy to take some questions if you guys have them.
Oh, I almost cried 5 times.
Good.
I know Mia had a question. I think it's, what PD books do you refer to?
All of them.
All of them. Or what are your favorite PD books, it looks like?
I would say which ones? The ones that have changed my life the most are, from a loving life perspective, is Life's Golden Ticket by Brendon Burchard. That book really helped me become happy every single day. The book The Magic of Thinking Big by David Schwartz really helped me expand my vision. The book, Success Through a Positive Mental Attitude. That book is amazing for your mindset. Think and Grow Rich is an amazing book. Another one that I love is, there's so many. I think the biggest thing that changed my life, though, is getting to a Tony Robbins event. That was the thing that changed everything for me. Investing in a Tony Robbins event. Getting there, and it's not easy, but it made all the difference in the world. And that type of level of personal growth, it's unmatched. And so full immersion, that type of stuff is what really made the changes. And then, anything Tony also.
Anything Tony?
Anything Tony.
We're going in November.
In Palm Beach?
Yeah.
So am I.
No.
I'm actually serious. I am.
This is gonna be amazing.
I actually am. I'm going with my buddy Jack. November 9th through 13th.
Yes.
That is awesome.
Palm Springs, right? Palm Beach.
Palm Beach or Springs, or whichever one it is in Florida, yeah.
That is so crazy.
Amazing.
We're gonna talk about that after.
My whole family's going. My mom, my dad, my brother.
Parents.
Oh, that's
everyone.
awesome, dude.
Yeah.
That's one of the things when I first went to the event, I was like, man, this has got to be mandatory for everybody to go to this event. Had a total immersion. So I've always prayed that like I want my family, my little brother, my little sister to experience that. And like I always, just like how you practice, I'm a very big Tony Robbins guy as well, and so I always try to practice gratitude every morning. And just I'm thankful for this, I'm thankful for that. And one of the things I always say I'm thankful for is that I'm able to bring my family and my girlfriend to this event. And lo and behold, the universe, God, it's all lined up to where it's gonna happen.
And we're gonna be with
Brad. I get to see Brad, Bizjack.
I'm gonna see you from across the room like 600 times, and like.
So crazy.
I know, it's awesome.
I know, it's awesome.
Burpee power,
man. I'm so proud of you, brother.
Seriously. I have a question.
Yeah.
So I love this whole thing that you did, Brad. So how long did it take you for the first time, when you went back down to 2-star, how long did it take you to kind of like grasp that and like get back into a positive mindset about,
That's a tough question because everyone's level of personal growth at where they're at is different, right? Like, I don't think it's a set amount of time. And I think if you go in with an expectation of a certain amount of time, that's attachment, right? That is attachment to and comparison. That's exactly what that is, right? So instead of that, I would go in just trying to be the best version of yourself every day and just start for you. And then
just be the best 15-star ever.
Best, yes. 15 star.
Allie, come here. Stop.
Okay, does anyone else have any, Brad, can you send me those book names?
Yeah, for sure.
Does anyone else have any questions before we go? I know we went a little bit over time.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's all good. Anyone? Okay. So if we don't have any more questions, thank you so much, Brad, for coming and talking to us.
Of course, my friend.
Loved it all. I learned so many new things. We're going to go over some of this stuff when we get, well, not when we get off the call, but tomorrow. And I'll go ahead and post it. It's recording. Totally awesome. I'm probably going to have to listen to it again because there's so many things I want to write down. So much more. So thank you so much again. And I'll see you guys later.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
See ya.